So traders, I want to do a bit of an explanation of what I actually talked about yesterday. Yesterday I talked about the final low in a particular market, and also I talked about how we could potentially be setting up for a bit of a slingshot move. And I want to talk to you more about that when it comes to this particular market and how that could be a recession sort of indicator and what tends to actually happen. And I just want to get a bit more detail through there, and I want to really share something, and then I want to share with you the actual stock market itself and why this is separate to what I was actually talking about yesterday. So let's get straight into it. Don't place a trade based on what you'll see in this video, because there is no guarantees of making a profit in the market. It takes you a long time to become a good trader. So this video here is just to educate you to become a much better trader. Alrighty traders, so let's get straight into it. Traders, make sure if you are struggling with trading right now, I have just put up together a brand new training. You can see the details there. Your number one thing, guys, to your success in the markets is following a trading system, following a trading plan, right? I do these market updates for you, but it's so important that when you are entering and exiting the markets that you use a trading plan. And I'm actually giving you my system for free. You know, I'm actually teaching it for free. You can sign up to my coaching program and stuff like that if you want to, but you don't need to. I'm actually going to teach you it for free. You can start to go out there and start to test it, back test it. Again, I'm teaching you it for free. So I want to start off with the video that I did yesterday, because a lot of people really got confused. Or firstly, they got confused because they just read the title, right? Now, the title of the video that I did was Final Low, False Breakout, and the Coming Slingshot. And now I talked about that being on gold, silver, and some of the mining sector. Now, why did I do that? Firstly, here's a really interesting thing about markets, okay? Today, the market could be setting up and looking one way, okay? 2, 3, 4, 5 days later, the market moves, the market changes, right? So we go from downtrend to uptrend, or no trend to downtrend, or downtrend back to uptrend. You know what I'm saying there? So the market continues to flow, and it's, as a trader of these markets, it's so important that we actually flow with what the market is actually telling us, right? So for so long, I have been saying, and even part of my videos that I did at the start of this week, I've been saying when it comes to, say, the gold market, the trend is your friend until the end, right? And I've been saying this the whole time, and anyone that's been going against me has been getting killed when it comes to trading gold. Now, again, I'm going to put a caveat on that. Don't be entering, all right? Do not be entering the market based off a YouTube video. That is absolutely the worst thing you can do. Again, I am giving you a market update here. I am not teaching you what to trade as a trading system. This is just a general market update and what I'm seeing on the overall picture. Do not go to trade this, because that's not how professional trading is done. Professional trading is done based on rule-based systems, right? Now, there's a differences between trading the markets, and you need a rule-based system. Again, link in the description. I'm giving you my trading system for free. You can actually, I'm teaching all the details to it. Okay, it's actually not that complicated. But then there's also an approach of like long-term investing, okay? And I do both, and it's so important not to mix them up, okay? You got long-term investing, and you also got actual trading, but the trading requires you to actually have a rule-based entries and rule-based exits. See, what's made me do so well, and like for example, this week I've had 3 trades in total, or three positions in total, all right? One was more than investment, and then two of them were actual trading strategies, right? Two were the trading approaches. And so this week I've had 100% success rate this week, right? And now, but that's come from what? That's come from actually having a trading system. See, I don't just willy-nilly, oh, well, I'm doing this market update and the market is saying this, so therefore I'm going to trade this. Right? No, it's really important that once again that we simply stick to some sort of rules. And if you actually want to be in these markets 5-10 years from now, potentially doing 7 figures, then we need to bring it back to then how do really professional traders trade these markets, okay? And all of them have one thing in common. And what's kept me in this game for all this time, right? Why can I be so excited and so passionate still after all this time? 18 years in the markets. In fact, you can actually check my YouTube channel. I think I started my YouTube channel back in 2017. So you can see how long I've actually been involved with these markets for, even from my YouTube channel, right? And the thing that's kept me in this game for so long and kept me so excited is from what? sticking to have a rule-based system. Now, I am a much better trader now than I was when I first started doing YouTube, right? Because I've gotten better and better and better myself. And so therefore, I'm condensing the last almost 2 decades and hopefully giving you those golden nuggets that you don't have to go out and start to do, right? So when we're looking at, say, something like gold, we're having lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, right? This is looking at the markets here now. And this is where it really comes really hard for a lot of traders out there who trade the markets. And I can understand from you, okay? If you are getting confused here, it's okay. Please don't be hard on yourself if you are getting confused, okay? But because there is a lot to learn when it comes to technical analysis. And unfortunately, we spend a lot of our time trying to analyze indicators instead of the market, okay? The indicators are derivative from the markets. So if we can actually spend time slowing down and trying to get good at reading the market itself, like the actual chart itself, because everything else is a derivative from that, right? The better trader will be, right? If we can actually study the main thing and get really good at learning how to read the main thing, then therefore the default, you're going to become much better, right? Because again, every single indicator out there is a derivative from that. Now, I'm not saying you can't use indicators, but unfortunately, most people use indicators to help them get in and get out of the markets, where, again, when you actually see my trading system, you'll see that I use one simple moving average on the charts, but then that's actually one rule, right? But the rest comes back down to the actual market itself. The market is like a living, breathing system and approach out there, okay? Or should I say, it's a living, breathing thing, right? And the market's actually always talking to us, and it's always evolving, okay? So right now we're in a downward trend, and it's downward, it's continue downward, continue down, continue down. Just like I was saying with the stock market this week. If you've been following me this entire week for the stock market, what was I saying with the stock market, right? I was saying that this is a sucker rally, this is a sucker rally, they're getting ready to drop it on your ass. And guess what happened? They did do that, right? So the market actually gives us clues. So by looking at gold here, I was saying yesterday that gold could also be getting ready to have a bit of a change in tune. And why did I say that? Is because of what actually happened. Obviously on Friday's close, right? So if I take everything off the screen here and take this off here, if I actually zoom in, look what's actually happened here, okay? And this is where it's really interesting, okay? I really want you to think about this. And let me actually see if I can do this instead. Right, so if I go, actually no, I won't do that. So if I remove yesterday's bar, what was the pattern telling me? Okay, and this is where it's really important, traders, okay? You need to continue to listen to what the market is saying to you. What was the pattern telling me? The pattern was telling me that we were one, in a downward trend. Okay, so let's actually do this here. So one, we were in a downward trend. We had this downward movement through here, possibly like through there, right? Somewhere through there. So we had a downward movement, and then we also were squeezing up into this pattern through here, right? So we're squeezing up into like a bit of a triangle pattern. So that's actually step number one, right? Yes, we're doing that. But look what's actually happened here recently, okay? The market's actually starting to slowly talk to us, and we need to be present with the market because anything can happen at any time. Right? We need to be aware of that. And it's so important not to have confirmation bias on what you're looking at when you're looking at the markets. Look what's actually happened here, okay? I want you to focus on this here. Let me zoom in for the last 3 months, and I'm going to then take this off the screen. Look at this here, right? So we had this support level through here, and now look what's actually happened. Now we can see how the market went sideways, and now we had a very, 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 very strong up bar, and it was an up bar closing above these highs here. So what does that actually mean? Firstly, it doesn't mean anything right now. It just means that we're breaking above these highs here, so we could actually have a possibility of running up to here. Now, I was saying in yesterday's video, it's really important that what gold tends to do on the big picture, so I'm going a small picture analysis here, okay? Small picture analysis, but what gold tends to do, if I go back to here, go back to the 08 crisis, let's go bring to the GOD here. What gold tends to do before the, just like right here, this was the 08 crisis here. Gold tends to have a very big move before the recession actually kicks in. This was the 2008 recession, and then the big move up. By the way, this cycle here, I'm actually expecting the same thing to happen with the metals and the mining. Okay. I'm expecting a pullback when in the recession, and then I'm expecting this sort of move to come out on the other side of the recession. Okay. So that's the first thing I do say, is that I'm always looking at what the market is telling me and what's going on with the markets. And then, so that was the short-term daily charts. Okay. This was the short-term daily charts where we are right now through here. And I can see we actually had a bit of a gap up through here. Okay. And once again, if I actually bring up, let's actually bring up from there to there. Right, we actually can see, possibly through there, right, we can actually see that, we actually can see that it's actually starting to break below this level through here, right? So we have this, possibly even through there, I would use it, right? So possibly like somewhere through there, right? So you can see how it's possibly having a bit of a break to the upside of this triangle. Now remember, triangle patterns, just because something is ascending or descending, a lot of the times, if you have like an ascending triangle pattern when the market's like this, the textbooks will say, right, they will say that a lot of the times this is actually bullish, right? So the market does this and they say, okay, then we're probably going to break to the upside and break and have a big move, right? That does happen sometimes, but we need to wait for the breakout first, right? And a lot of the times I've seen this type of pattern break here and then have a complete free fall. So a lot of the times I've actually seen that. So this is what I was looking at here. And what made me come out and do yesterday's video is we were in a downward trend, but now we're potentially starting to break to the upside. And because we had a bit of a gap here, this could be the start of a move up. So I was looking at that through there. And then I was also looking at this level all through here, right, which is the 160, because this is still, we're still in a downward trend here, okay? If I take this off the screen, lower highs, we're still in a downward trend right now. And I was saying yesterday that if we start to break above 160, we are no longer in a downtrend. The trend has come to an end. So if we look at the weekly chart when I talk about this, you can also see what? That it's actually had a bit of a breakdown and now we went sideways. You can see we also actually tried to go up once, right? So we tried to go up once and we couldn't, and we went back down. So this is how this is the market talking to us, guys, and we need to respect that, okay? So the market's going sideways. So that tells us that if we get back above here, one, the trend is no longer down anymore because we're no longer in a downward trend. And secondly, this pattern here is what's generally called a false breakout, where it breaks below major support, goes sideways, gets back in, and then when we do get this, we generally get the big slingshot. We generally get quite a very strong move to the other side of the channel. That's what happens most of the time, right? And again, that also goes into the narrative that if next year in 2023 we're going to actually enter the recession, and we may be there right now, we don't know, right? But if we are going to be entering the recession, gold is probably going to have a move first, right? Which is going to do that, which actually makes sense on a fundamental level basis through there, right? So that's actually the first thing I do say about gold. Now, the next thing I do say about these markets is this. I want you to realize also that someone, or I think Humble Pie in the chat box, section below, said that he sold his position in the mining sector because of my video that I did the day before. And the day before I was talking about the stock market, how it's weak, and guess what? It still is, by the way. And I am expecting more downside to come, right? So he sold based on what I said about the stock market, right? And so he did that. But one thing he doesn't understand, and one thing that's so important to understand is this: is that you may also know that this week I actually bought more of the mining sector. The last 2 months I've been adding to the mining sector, which is the GDXJ, by the way. I've been adding to the GDXJ, right? So I've been adding to this because I'm getting ready for a rally soon. If you've been following me the whole week and you've been watching my videos, you would also know this, okay? Now, I'm doing this from an investing point of view. Now, let's actually break this up here for a minute, okay? Firstly, we have that trading. Trading's based on rules, right? What type of pattern are we looking for? What's our entry bar look like? How are we going to manage that trade? That's sort of trade in the markets, okay? And then on the flip side, on the other side, we have like an investor. Now, the investor for me, like me, is that I have something where I see things going over the next 10, 20 years, right? And then I have that type of view. And so for example, for me, over the next 10 years, I see incredible moves happening in the mining sector. I just don't know when, right? So I'm not looking for the right time to buy. I'm just looking to be part of it. And for you guys, you guys would know this, right? I've been saying this for a long time. I've been saying when the GDXJ does start to get a bit of a move, we're probably going to start to see a very, very, very strong move back up to all-time new highs. And we may be getting a bit of a bottoming pattern now with that, right? So I am an actual buyer of the mining sector. Okay, so this is where, again, we need to put the different hats on. Are you an investor or are you a buyer? Because if you're an investor, you don't really care what happens short term. Or are you a trader of the markets? If you are a trader of the markets, what rules are you using to enter the markets? Okay, so whenever I'm actually looking at the markets and I'm scanning the markets for a trading opportunity, right? I'm looking to get in today and hold it for a couple of days, maybe for a few weeks, right? That's sort of the income basis. If I'm doing that, guess what? I'm going to the market and I'm looking for my setup. I'm not just looking to trade anything. I'm looking for my setup in there. Okay, so that's what it comes back down to. You know, the final low, which is in gold. It could be the final low, false breakout, and things we need to keep an eye out for, which is also this GLD pattern here. Right, if we start to get back above 160. Then we could see a very, very, very strong move. And again, I'm just trying to alert you guys that, hey, I'm noticing this pattern here. And if we do start to confirm this, which is a close above 160, then gold could get ready for a very, very, very strong move back to the upside. And I'm just alerting you guys to the patterns I'm recognizing here, okay? When it comes to the actual stock market, like the S&P and the Nasdaq, we're still in a very, very weak bearish territory here, okay? And I'm still expecting to see another leg down. Same for the Nasdaq as well too, right? The Nasdaq has actually been rolling over a little bit through here. So I'm actually expecting to see a bit more downside to come out of the Nasdaq before we actually start to see this sort of next leg down, okay? So I hope that sort of clears it up with what I'm looking through here. The stock market I'm still very weak on, and the stock market is in a very big downward trend. Nothing has changed with the stock market. But with the mining sector and gold and silver, we're starting to potentially build these patterns that's saying, hey, we could be getting ready for a very, very strong move to the upside. And that could be the precursor to saying, okay, yes, now we're getting ready for the recession. Traders, I want to invite you to my webinar that I'm running today. And on this webinar, I'm going to share with you all the details to my #1 trading system for the last 17 years and how I only trade 1 hour per day. Plus, also going to be learning the 3 secrets that I had to master over the last 17 years to generate a really good income. If you go to johnsfreetraining.com, or there should be a link in the description, click on that. Go over there right now, register. If you are struggling with the trading right now, I promise you this is going to completely game change, because you're going to understand why you are going backwards and why you're losing money. And then I'm going to teach you exactly what the system I use that gets me a really high % win-loss ratio. So this is what I want you to do right now. Go to johnsfreetraining.com. Go over there, register for my webinar right now today, because you're going to absolutely love it. Or there should be a link in the description. And I look forward to seeing you on the webinar. So go to that right now, and I look forward to seeing you on my next webinar. Go to that right now. Go to johnsfreetraining.com. Go to that right now.